Hello everyone. Comes the last chapter of AP1, Chapter 14. And here we're going to discuss somatic nervous system, talk about some sensory stuff. We talk about your taste, your ears, your eyes, and other parts of the nervous system. And so this is a long chapter, so let's go over them. All right. So nervous system is anatomically divided into PNS and CNS. You guys remember? PNS is peripheral nervous system and central nervous system. Okay. Physiology, it's divided into somatic and automatic. Somatic is voluntary, and autonomic is like your organs or whatever, is involuntary. So one of the things we're going to talk about is called the reflex arc. Reflex arc is when you guys have seen where you use a reflex hammer to hit the knee. So what happened is the reflex, the sensation, goes to the back of the spinal cord at that same level. It doesn't go up to the brain. Goes to the same level and then out the other in the same level, okay? So what it does is it will trigger a reflex, but at the same time it will inhibit the opposite muscle. Remember I told you when you flex a muscle, let's say you flex your biceps, your triceps has to relax. So a reflex arc is a simple withdrawal reflex. Just withdraw, and then it will inhibit the opposite muscle. So this is something like when you're touching a hot fire or something. You touch it, you don't even think about it, and you just withdraw. Okay, this is called a reflex arc. Sensory perception, this is a little bit of a review. Okay, remember, we have internal receptor that senses blood pressure and all that. We have external receptor that if you touch, remember we did the shower, we did the shower lecture on when you touch hot water or something. When there is enough sensation, it will cause an action potential to fire. Okay, so we're going to look into more of the different types of receptor in a minute. Okay, sensory receptor, okay, classified by the cell type, different types of cells, location, and its function. Structural receptor type, there's free nerve ending. Free nerve endings always associate with pain and temperature. Encapsulated, we're talking about whether it is laminated, a corpuscle. And special receptors like photoreceptors, like in your eye. And we're going to look a little bit more into every one of them. Receptor or location. External receptor. External, of course, is exterior. Internal is interior. And proprioception is, this one is a little bit, when you close your eyes, you can sense where you are. This is a change in position in the muscle and joints. If you go forward or backward, your body will know that you're changing position. This is called proprioception. Again, external is when you, for example, if you touch your hand, the pressure, okay, that will sense in the skin and all that. Internal pressure, you have a lot of internal pressure. Internal receptor, like blood pressure changes, or oxygen level, or carbon dioxide level rises. All this is internal receptors. Here, function type. All we need to know is these kinds. We need to memorize them. Okay. Chemoreceptor. Chemoreceptor, it senses chemicals in your surrounding area where there is taste and smell. So when you taste something, you're actually tasting the chemical and smelling as well. Osmoreceptor. We talked about osmosis before and diffusion. Osmoreceptor is concentration, okay, of the solute. Nociceptor, every time you hear noci is pain. When you hear, it's just a receptor for pain. Mechanoreceptor, pressure, vibration, sound, balance. And thermoreceptor is your temperature receptor. Sensory modality, you need to know these two types. Okay, there is a special senses and a general senses. General senses are just distributed throughout your body. Now, special senses is got nerves and sensory organs that has an organ devoted to it. So these are called special senses. Okay, like your eye, ears, tongue, and nose. And we're going to see all of them today, I think. So let's start with taste first. Taste is gustatory or gustation. Gustation, of course, you have all seen this, okay? Sour, salty, bitter, sweet. Umami is actually the another flavor, okay? You know, you guys have all learned, you know, the front is sweet and then sour and salty and bitter in the back of the tongue. But it's actually all over. It's actually all over, okay? So the top of the tongue is filled with stratified squamous with papillae. Now, stratified squamous, you guys remember, it is like a square, right, on top of one another with papillae. The papillae are bumps in your tongue. Okay, here are the papillae. Okay, you can see in the mirror. If you look in the mirror, okay, you see like weird area or something. These are called papillae. And it's got taste buds. It's got gustatory receptors, which again is a chemoreceptor. Okay, activated by glossopharyngeal nerve and the vagus nerve and facial. So what is taste? Okay, so when you taste saltiness, of course, it's sodium. Sour is anything with hydrogen ion. Sweet, you're tasting for glucose. And bitter is alkaloid. Okay, alkaloid. Umami is L-glutamate. L-glutamate is one of the flavor. Okay. Let's see. So one of the things about the bitterness is one of the ways to avoid poison. So most poison is actually alkaloid, is bitter. Okay, it's bitter. Oh, one more thing I forgot to tell you about the bitterness. Like some plants, it actually tastes bitter to the insects, so that they can avoid the insects being eating them. Also, if you eat something poisonous or bitter, your body will initiate a gag reflex, so you get it out and spit it out, or throw it up, or things like that. So how taste happen is, so the molecules now dissolve and it initiated action potential and sensation from the anterior 1/3 of the tongue, anterior 1/3 of the facial nerve carries it to your brain. Posterior 2/3 of the glossopharyngeal nerve and the root of the tongue has vagus nerve. So all these three nerves work together to carry the sensation up to the brain. Axon of the 3 synapses in the gustatory region of the brainstem nuclei. So it synapses there. Axon of these nuclei, then it goes up to the thalamus. Remember where the thalamus is? And it goes to the parietal lobe. Okay. And here is your taste bud, goes wear and tear just like your skin, and is replaced every 3 days. So that's why sometimes if you eat something really hot, or you bite your tongue or something like that, it heals pretty quickly, so that you can have your taste back. And it's also a protection if you eat something bitter. Okay. So next we're going to go into smell. Okay. Small region of the superior nasal cavity. It's got the olfactory epithelium. Okay. Smell occurs in response to the odor that excite the olfactory receptor nerve. So when you smell something, it excites the olfactory receptor nerve. Remember, the olfactory nerve is a bipolar neuron. Bipolar neurons are rare. Okay, so what happened is all these chemicals get trapped in the mucus. So it dissolves in the mucus, and then it will initiate an action potential, and it sends up to your brain. Okay, so here are the olfactory neuron. It's bipolar. Something to remember. I don't know if you remember. We talked about the taste earlier, that it goes through, and like you say, it stops at the thalamus, okay, and then goes up to the brain. Olfactory is the one that doesn't. It goes straight to the hypothalamus. Let me see if it's here. Okay, it goes straight to the hypothalamus. And one of the things about olfactory, your smell, is that it can goes to the limbic system. Limbic system is with your memory and emotions. For example, if you smell something that reminds you of, your childhood memory, and then, brings back memory and all that. So that's one of the things about smell. Okay, it will trigger memory, and it goes directly to the hypothalamus, and it's got special neurons, bipolar. Okay, only in the eyes, and the bipolars are only in the eyes and the smell. Okay, and smell only goes straight to the hypothalamus. Everything else goes to the thalamus and then connects somewhere else. Okay, but smell goes directly to hypothalamus. Now we're going to go to hearing. Let's do the anatomy of the ear first. So in the ear is divided into external, middle, and inner ear. The external ear is the outside, the eardrum. The ear is called the auricle. Okay, what it does is it will direct sound into the ear canal. So here's the skull. We all remember when we studied the skull, the ear hole. Okay, this is the external auditory meatus, or auricle auditory meatus. That's where the hole of the ear. So here's the auricle. Here is the ear canal. So up to this part is the external ear. Now the middle ear is filled. It's got your eustachian tube. It helps balance air pressure. And there's 3 little bones inside. Okay, called the malleus, incus, and staple. The staple is connected to the inner ear, which has two very important organs: the vestibular and the cochlear. Okay, so this is the external. Here's the middle ear and the inner ear. External and middle hearing, and inner is for hearing and balance. So let's look at the outside ear again, the external part. So outside the ear is the auricle, the fleshy part, okay, and the auditory canal, and then you have the tympanic membrane, which is your eardrum, okay. So the auricle will collect the sound and direct the sound wave in, okay, and you have hair in there, and you have the ceruminous glands, which produce the cerumen, which is your earwax. Okay, it's to trap stuff, okay, here and there. The eardrum, or the tympanic membrane, is a layer of connective tissue. When sound goes in, it vibrates. Okay.